Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me, Grand Cruise Astrology. My name is Clayton. Today, we're going to be talking about the full moon coming up here on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. A lot to get to, a lot happening in the sky, a lot happening on the ground. So this video may be a little longer than usual because there's so much to get to. So bear with me, buckle up, and let's do this. Okay. So first, I just want to mention that a friend of mine invited me to a group meditation, to participate in a group meditation. Now, this was remote because we're all isolated right now, but um, I found it to be, it really brought home for me the power and potential of what we can do in the situation that we're in together, individually. Okay. Um, I thought that was a really powerful way to create change. In essence, what it was this was at the time of Jupiter conjunct Pluto last night, and the intention was a shared vision um, of potential, of what we can create from this situation, and an outcome from this situation, a resolve that we all want to see. So, um, first off, you know, going within, looking within, not looking without, but looking within, creating that vision collectively, having that shared vision and putting it out there to the universe, I think is a very powerful action that we can all take. And I'm sure these groups are happening, not just with the one I was participating in, but other ones at different times for, different reasons. But I think that's a very powerful way to use this time. I think it's pure potential, and we have the potential. And I thought it was awesome to see and participate in, and so I just wanted to mention that. And it is also relevant to what we're talking about here with Jupiter and Pluto conjunct in the sky. They went conjunct last night, and they will. Then Jupiter is going to move on, and then it will later in the year, it will retrograde, go back over Pluto again, and then go forward and pass over Pluto for the last time. I do believe November, November of this year, and then later in the year, at the end of the year, it's going to move into the sign of Aquarius. However, just setting the backdrop with that energy is around, and it's going to be highlighted this month with the full moon that we have Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Um, the full moons are sun moon oppositions. So with this full moon, we have the sun in Aries and moon in Libra. Okay. So both cardinal signs. Cardinal signs have to do with identity largely, and developing personal identity. They're very initiatory. It can be very action oriented. So with this full moon, Aries, Libra, Sun in Aries. Sun in Aries is about me first. The Sun likes Aries because the Sun likes to be, the Sun is the center. The Sun is me first. The Sun is look at me. Okay. The Sun is everything revolves around me. It's very uno. Okay. So with the Sun in Aries, it's strong, and it is kind of giving vitality and energy to that. It's like the beginning of spring. It's giving energy and vitality to striking out and wanting to take solo action. Okay. The sun is bringing some vitality, some energy into that space. The seasons correspond with that. It's that bursting out, right? Of spring. And so with the full moon in Libra, Libra is about self and other and finding the balance. And with the moon, you're talking about emotion. So finding an emotional balance between self and other. With a full moon, you're talking about an awareness around this. So there's a lot of energy going into, okay, take care of yourself, make sure you got what you need, make sure you have your distancing in place, make sure you got everything you need to ride out the storm, and it's all very solo focused and keeping to yourself. But there's an awareness around an emotional need to connect with other people now, at least for the full moon, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's going to be this swelling of emotion, perhaps collectively or individually, about, well, hey, this is all well and good, but I'm a human being, and human beings, we need connection with others. We need that. There may be an emotional swelling around becoming aware of this need. Okay. I mean, and this need is not just on an emotional level, like, oh, we need emotional connection. We need to hug and touch and feel loved and just connected to people. Okay. But it's also a physical need. I mean, for survival, that's what economies are. It's trading, but, individuals making decisions and trading with one another, and connecting and sharing. I mean, this is, we have this connection in our species on a one-to-one level, because Libra is about one-to-one connection and finding a balance between self and other. So this full moon is bringing that into focus. It's highlighting it. It's bringing it out. Now this happens once a year. Okay, so this isn't terribly unusual. We have a full moon in Libra or anything like that. What is not unusual, but what is interesting about this one is that it is also in a T-square. Squares are tension. T-square, especially so because you have an opposition that is in square to, in this case, Mars and Pluto in Capricorn. Okay? Now, I'm sorry, Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. I keep saying Mars to people, and I apologize. It's Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn, not Mars. Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn square to both the Sun and Moon, who are in opposition to each other. It forms a triangle, but it is a point. It's an aspect of tension. We're talking about a T-square. Now, when you're talking about a T-square, the outlet for the opposition, which is between the Sun and the Moon, self and other, the outlet for that tension is going to be through Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. So what does that mean? Well, Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn, as we discussed in the past videos, is about, well, Pluto in Capricorn, been there for 12 years now, will be there for a few more years, is about bringing transformation to these structures, institutions of power, power dynamics, our relationship to security, and our relationship to these power structures that we live within. Okay, Pluto's been bringing a transformation, slow, thorough transformation to this space for a long time now, and it will continue to do so. What has changed is we've had, over the past couple of months, planets coming into Capricorn, connecting with Pluto, and exacerbating that process. Either in the case of Mars, speeding it up; in the case of Saturn, bringing restriction and boundary to it; in the case of Jupiter, where Jupiter is what we're dealing with right now with Pluto, Jupiter is magnifying it. It's expanding it. It's also, Jupiter, by its very nature, is a big, expansive planet. It's considered to be, by the ancients, the great benefic. So it can be very jovial and giving, and it can bring levity and hope. Okay, so it can bring a lot of good things into the space, but it also can blow things out of proportion too if we're not careful. So right now we do have Jupiter, and in a lot of ways it is very welcome energy, because it's bringing, as I see it, it's bringing aid, it's bringing goodwill, it's bringing a sense of hope, it's bringing people together. There are consequences outside of maybe what we're seeing on the news and all the doom and gloom. There are positive consequences from this as well. People coming together, helping each other out. There's aid coming in. There's a lot of people are dropping the BS to come together in a very powerful way at this time, and that can be in a lot of ways attributed to Jupiter being on Pluto. So this energy creates the outlet, or the outlet for the tension that's going to be happening with this in awareness of the full moon between self and other. Because right now we're looking around saying, well, how do we connect? I mean, whether it's on an emotional level or just on a survival level, like, look, I need to connect with clients, or I need to connect with my place of employment, whatever it is, self and other, to survive. Okay. And so this tension is being that the tension of this opposition is making a direct square, is making, it's not direct, it's a loose square to Jupiter and Pluto, and that is the outlet. So as I see it, it's going to create some pressure for some questions to be answered in this time of crisis as to what are we going to do. I think very strongly there could be some very, in the next few days here, there could be some very hard conversations about, okay, we have to do, we have some very tough choices to make going forward. How long can we stay isolated? How long can we do that? How do we have a plan for how we are going to reconnect? And what are the realities around reconnecting? You know, like what there, I see an awareness around, okay, we're doing what we have to do for now. We've isolated, we've done what we need to do, but we can't do this forever. And what is it going to look like when we rebalance this situation and come back together and connect? So this, the tension is creating this conversation, I believe, not only, you know, in the world, in the collective, but within ourselves. Like, where do we, you know, what is our take on how we understand this? What do we feel about it? You know, like what, I think a lot of this is going to come to the surface this week with this full moon. A lot of it's going to come into our awareness. And so, you know, that I do see this as some kind of apex point of tension. I do. I think the tension is going to become so great that some kind of actions, conversations, discussions are going to have to take place around this, again, this self and other opposition and this separation that we've been dealing with. It, you know, has for good reason created an imbalance out of necessity, but there's going to be some kind of call to reintegration and how we go about doing that. So that's what's happening in the short term. Tuesday, Wednesday, it's going to be a building energy that we're going to see come to a peak Tuesday night, Wednesday, somewhere around that time. We also have that's not it though. That's a big piece, but there's more going on. We have, again, as I've talked about in other videos, we have the Mars Uranus square that is also in right there in opposite in square aspect, creating its own brand of tension, unrelated to the moon and Jupiter, Pluto, moon and sun, that whole thing. That's one part of the sky. And another part of the sky, we have Mars and Uranus. Okay, Uranus in the sign of Taurus, Mars in the sign of Aquarius. Fixed signs, fixed energy, creating a point of tension. Now, this one is a little different because this is kind of the stuff coming out of left field, things happening, you know, bits and pieces of news and changes and things happening very fast. Energies that are very kind of dug in, yet butting heads with one another. And how do we deal with that? This energy is around for this full moon. It's going to be around a couple days either side of Tuesday or Wednesday, and it's there. It's a very shake it up kind of energy. When you're talking about Mars, you're talking about action. Actions will be happening. We were talking about the sign of Taurus being squared to. You're talking about personal security, personal material concerns, material needs. What is mine? What, you know? How do I fortify what is mine? And Mars creating a 90-degree angle of that, challenging what your comfort zones, what people have been what people have found to be solid, and what having all their ducks in a row, having all their pantries filled, and all this and everything streamlined in such a way, and the behavior, how do I say this? the behaviors around taking care of oneself, the routines that people have around caring for oneself and family, people that are close to them, the values they have around that. Mars is challenging that. Mars is an Aquarius energy. It's in an Aquarius right now, bringing that Aquarian energy into that Taurus space. Taurus is about security and uh, material necessity and comfort, as I said. But Aquarius energy is a more it's an air energy, so it's more mental, it's more objective, and it's less personal, and it's more about group. It's more about accounting for the group. So you're seeing this tension here. Hey, we can't all be thinking on a personal level because we have to account for what the group needs. And Uranus is in Taurus saying, yeah, but I'm an individual and I have certain needs. I have a family. I have to take care of things. And so there's this butting heads of energy. And there could be some events that happen very quickly that challenge this space, okay, within this week. So be on the lookout for that. Just understand the advice I would give, the astrological advice in this situation is whatever you're experiencing at any given moment that could seem to come out of left field and really trigger you, okay? Try to breathe through it, try to take a step back and understand it's going to change likely very quickly. Whatever it looks like now, probably not going to be what it's looking like in a couple days, couple weeks. Before making any incisive judgment on what it is we're dealing with, we need to wait as best we can. Wait, do what we need to do, take care of ourselves, yes, but try to avoid any direct action out of panic or fear at this time. So that's the advice with that energy. It can get a little rocky this week on that front. Just know that. Just understand it. This is a test. This is a test, and we're all going to come to understand ourselves better and how we react to certain situations. So that energy is there. Lastly, I want to say the sun moon energy that I was talking about with the full moon is also in quincunx aspect to the planet of Neptune. Okay, so a quincunx aspect is 150 degrees aspect, and it has to do with two energies in each other's blind spot. Okay, so with the sun and the moon, it's at 30 degrees and 150 degrees. So that's just math. Just understand that Neptune is the planet that rules viruses. It rules the unseen. It rules the unknown. It rules mystery. It rules clouds, fogginess, deception, things we don't really understand and can't put our finger on. Things that slip through our fingers. Okay, and with the sun moon opposition on the full moon in quincunx to that, there could be a feeling of wanting to understand something, wanting to understand what is happening, just really, really yearning to understand and make clear and going to whatever means to try to make sense of things. But with this aspect that's happening right here for this full moon, I would say wait on that, okay? I would say let a little more time pass. This time that we're dealing with this week is not designed necessarily to be easy. It's not designed necessarily to be nice and flowing, and there are energies rumbling, okay, and there are things that are hidden that we don't necessarily see or understand, and so with this week, go slow. Do as best you can to stay out of impulsive action. As far as figuring things out and trying to make solid sense of things, let a little more time pass. Be a little bit more, if you can, content with the unknown for a little while longer. Take it as an opportunity to be a little bit more open to mystery, at least for a little while longer. And with the sun moon opposition, self and other. We're all collectively going to come to an understanding and a co-creation of what this new world is going to look like, at least in the short term, as far as relating to each other, whether it be, uh, you know, for survival or just for emotional nourishment or whatever that looks like on a one-to-one level. We're all going to be co-creating that process. So to sum it all up, this week is it's a culmination point. It's a big one. I do think once we get into later in April, I do see things calming down a bit. We do have a challenging full moon later in April, but it's a little bit more par for the course challenging than what we're dealing with now. What we're dealing with right now is pretty deep into the pool, heavyweight stuff, and it's a test for all of us. So, it's okay to feel a little bit challenged. This is the idea. This is part of it. So hang in there. I'll do another video on the other side of this, and hopefully by then we'll have a little bit more clarity or sense of understanding what's happening. But for now, hang in there, be strong. I mean, this is a test. So we got this. You got this. We got this. We all got this. We're doing great. Keep going, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon.